What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Speakeasy Brewer. I'm Austin Williams. I'm really excited for today because today is an important step in the beer brewing process, which is beer recipe creation. So today we're going to be going over a beer recipe that we're going to be brewing next week, and the beer we're going to be making is a Pilsner. Now, this idea came from some goner, one of my followers. I had him help me build this recipe, or at least give me the insight on creating this particular beer, because he's done so much to help me improve my stream. So, a big shout out to some goner, and thank you for all your help. And for any of you guys who are also, obviously, I'm an amateur, so if you see anything that I can do to improve my stream to make it more fun for you guys, please give me some heads up on that and tell me what I can to do to improve it. Twitch is kind of a steep learning curve, so I'm trying to figure everything out as I go. So thanks for your patience as I figure this out. But sometimes, the amateur way of things is great because it's uncensored and it's real and it's good. So anyways, yeah, so today we're going to be building the beer recipe for a Pilsner. Again, some goner. I asked him to partner with me on this next year just because he's done so much to help me improve my stream presentation, like I said. That being said, I would love all of you guys to help me come up with the next beer recipe that we're going to be doing, or the next recipes, because we're going to be doing a lot of those. So if that is something that you are interested in, make sure that you follow and subscribe and set up notifications and be involved, please, because this channel is really it's powered by you guys. Make sure, if this is something that you are interested in and you like to watch, please join my Discord server, which is on my channel page. And also, if in the event that you are enjoying what you see and you enjoy the process of watching beer or coffee be made or any of those things, and you miss a stream for whatever reason, because Twitch kind of expires them after several days, you can just go to my YouTube channel, also link on my Twitch page, and you can just go see them there. I'll also be doing a few shorts that I'll stick on there that probably won't be on Twitch, just because just planning out the streams and everything like that. So just a heads up there. You might see some content on YouTube that you won't see on Twitch. Twitch is just going to be more for the live stream stuff. So yeah. So again, if you're wanting to help me create the next beer, I would love to have you help me. Just make sure you have your friends follow and subscribe and set up notifications and get engaged as well, because you guys power this channel. And then whenever you do have some of your friends follow me, just send me a whisper, or on the Discord server, just tell me who you had join and follow, and I'll make sure to stick you on the list, and then I'll reach out to you either via whisper or on Discord to set up a time to discuss what you want to do. Or you could just tell me, hey, I want you to do an IPA, and then when you send me that, just send me, hey, I want to do an IPA and I want it to kind of have this flavor and this flavor. So that'd be kind of fun. I'd love to have you guys join me on that. So anyways, without further ado, let's get going today, because I don't want to waste too much time. So again, today we're doing a Pilsner recipe. Pilsners are pretty tricky in terms of they require very specific water profiles, and they're just difficult. They're just difficult. That's all I have to say about that. But they turn out. If you put a lot of work and effort into setting up the parameters for fermentation, as well as the recipe and as well as the water content, they can turn out pretty good. I made a Pilsner once. This is before I got in. I still am brand new to the water chemistry side of brewing beer, but I did a little bit of research to try and make this next Pilsner even better than my last one. Yeah, so there's a lot of little details to really make sure that the Pilsner turns out right. So today, instead of doing like a Pilsner from the Czech Republic, or inspired by the Czech Republic Pilsner, which is where the Pilsner came from in the first place, we're going to be giving ourselves a little bit of wiggle room and some margin of error by working on a German Pils. Now, there's a lot of different types of Pilsners out there. There's even an American Pilsner or New Zealand Pilsner, but the Czech Republic or the Czech Pilsner is the original, and then We have the German Pils, which is kind of like the follow up to the Czech Pilsner, and then you know, and then you have other countries who are wanting to try and create their own. So, anyways, that's what we're doing. Just a quick history on it. As far as I have read, the first Pilsner was created by a gentleman by the name of Josef Groh in 1842 in Pilsen, Czech Republic. And that's what we have now is the Urquell, if I'm saying that or pronouncing that correctly. Anyways, that's the original Pilsner. From all of the reading that I've done, that seems to be the original one, and they've had that recipe for 180 years. It's not as long as, you know, you go to Germany and you have the monks that have been brewing the same recipe for, you know, 500 plus years or longer. But you know, for 180 years keeping the same recipe, it's pretty impressive. So anyways, pretty cool. So that's kind of a fun little, you know, rabbit hole to go down if you're interested in learning more about Pilsner. Again, today, just for what we're doing, and because Pilsners are pretty difficult, I mean, easy recipe, but there's a lot of variables that can change the flavor of the Pilsner. We're just going to give ourselves a little more wiggle room by doing a German Pils. So that's what we're doing today. We'll start off by looking at the Beer Judge Certification Program beer profile for the German Pils today. We're going to go through everything that's in there, and we're going to use that as our base for our recipe today. And we're going to be referring back to that quite a bit, just because we want to make sure that if we're going to be brewing a good German Pils, we want to try and keep it to the style. Obviously, I'm all about experimentation. So sometimes I like to experiment with beers in terms of trying all sorts of flavors and doing all these different things, and then other times I really want to stick to the style, because there is still a lot of art and experimentation in sticking to that specific beer style. So but we'll look at that today, because I haven't really done much with Pilsner. I want to kind of stick to the style and kind of give myself some guidelines, and then from here on out, if I want to do another Pilsner and start experimenting with different flavors, I can. And then we're going to go over a little bit of water chemistry and like the importance of water chemistry, which I kind of touched on a little bit, and then we'll actually start creating the recipe. And I'll show you again what I'm looking at when I'm creating a recipe. I use a lot of websites if I have any questions, because again, not only am I am an amateur Twitch user / streamer / techie guy, but I'm also an amateur brewer. But the reason I'm doing this, and even though I'm not a master brewer, I'm doing this because I want to show you that if you are interested in making your own beer, you can do it. If you're as smart as me, or as dumb as me, that's probably a better way of saying it. If you're as dumb as me, and I can do this, you can definitely do this. So it's just a fun way to be able to create a beer that you put your hands, your sweat, blood, and tears into to make. And when you actually make a good beer, you're just like, I'm awesome. I had that moment today. I kegged a beer last week. Yeah, it was last week. And it's finally carbonated, and I tested it today. And the kegging process was a great success for me. And I was very, very excited for my IPA. So it feels good. So anyways, that's what the plan is for today. So let's get going, shall we? All right. So let's start off by doing this. Sorry, I'm going to be clicking around because I'm not that organized. Actually, you know what the most important thing is? Anytime I brew beer or I create a beer recipe, or, well, yeah, I guess it's those times. Or if it's just a nice hot day and it's summertime, I like to pull out a nice cold beer. So this one is an IPA that I made, I want to say about 6 months ago. This is an IPA which was, I called it Magnum PA. So the beer I kegged last week, you'll notice in the stream if you've seen it, I called it Magnum PA as well. It's a different version because I used different ingredients. I used a slightly different grain bill. I used different hops because the hops that I wanted to use weren't available. And I used, I guess I used the same yeast. So there was a lot of similarities to the one that I kegged last week to the one that I'm going to drink today. But this one, I have to say, was really spectacular as well. It's not as hoppy as a normal IPA, so in that sense, for the style guide, that kind of like what we're going to be looking at with the Beer Judge certification, it's not as hoppy as you could expect for an American Pale Ale, but under all the other circumstances or all the other guidelines, it's considered an IPA. So this one I'm going to pour into my glass. I'll show you it. The beautiful thing about this is I used Magnum hops, and I also used two, I can't remember the other ones, Mistral hops and something else, but they're two French hops. And those hops in particular really caused the floral, citrusy, exotic flavors to just pop in your mouth. And honestly, this beer, when you smell it and you get that initial taste, it tastes like I squeezed peach and pineapple into my beer, and it's absolutely fantastic. And then it's a complex beer because you get that initial aroma of pineapple and peach, and then it slowly eases its way through this like middle section where it almost tastes like a Pinot Gris wine, and then it transitions again to this really floral, beautiful, slightly hoppy, bitter aftertaste, and it's just a fantastic beer. So it's one of my favorites. I didn't win any awards on this. This is the one I turned into an actual competition. I got high scores, but not high enough to actually win an award. But this was, up until the one that I kegged, the best IPA I'd ever created. So beer is always good to enjoy while you're working on beer recipes and all that other stuff. So for the one viewer who's watching me right now, if you are not working, and you don't have to, oh, by the way, this is the Hop Brewdog or Hoppy Puppy. He'll be joining us probably today. But anyways, if you're not at work and you're free and you have a beer, join me. And if you don't want a beer, go get a cider or maybe a coffee, whatever. So I don't know what I did to all my beers, but so when you bottle, you have to put corn sugar in it or some sort of sugar for the yeast to eat. And honestly, for whatever reason, some of these beers have been really, really foamy lately. Also, it depends on your glass and how clean your glass is. If your glass is not clean, then it can foam a little more as well. So I'm going to go fix this. I'll be right back. All right, well, I did what I could. This glass, I forgot, was used for a plant, and there's a lot of mineral buildup on it, so there's a lot of nuclei on the side of the glass to release the CO2. So that's why I've got so much foam on it. It's not because I created this recipe to have that good of a head. I wish I did, but honestly, it's not that great. But you can see beautiful golden color. So as this foam dies down, I'm gonna start drinking it. But yeah, it's a blast to be able to create a beer like this, and it tastes really good. So even the foam is good, but you know, honestly, I don't really like having that much head on my beer because I just want to enjoy a beer. It's a pain in the butt. So good. Okay, let's get going on this, shall we? All right, so I'm going to share my screen with y'all so you can kind of see what I'm looking for. First, we're going to look at the Beer Judge certification. Whoa, trip out. Okay, here we go. So I think you guys can see this. So Beer Judge certification, this is the 2021 guidelines for the beer. So this is an updated version. If you are a home brewer and you're always interested in looking at this kind of stuff, check it out. We're going to be doing the German Pils, which falls under 5D on the Beer Judge certification guideline. So this is just telling us what we need to be shooting for when it comes to a German Pils. Okay, so overall impression, a pale, dry, bitter German lager featuring a prominent hop aroma, crisp, clean, and refreshing, showing a brilliant gold color with excellent head retention. So head retention is really important. So we'll need to make a note of that. And I don't know if I have a pen here or not, but I'm going to take a note of that real fast because we need head retention. Oh, come on, pen. Head retention. All right. So there's that. So we need a head retention. Aroma. So what we're looking for is moderately to moderately high, flowery, spicy, or herbal hops. Herbal, whatever part of the world you're in. You might say herbal or herbal. Low to medium grainy, sweet or doughy malt character, often with a light honey and toasted cracker quality. Clean fermentation profile. The hops should be forward, but not totally dominant or dominate the malt in the balance. Okay, so that's pretty good for us, right? So think about this. When we're looking at the hops that we're going to be choosing, we need to find a hop that will bring out that flowery, spicy, or herbal hop aroma. Again, this is aroma, right? This is just the smell, not the flavor. Appearance, straw to deep yellow, brilliant to very clear with a creamy, long-lasting white head. So what they're talking about is this, okay? So long-lasting head, you can consider this a long-lasting head. I think I did put a little bit of wheat in this. Wheat is usually what you would use for head retention. And the head retention just means how long will this beer head stay around. So that's what we're looking for, right? And then and then it talks about the long-lasting white head, right? So for a Pilsner, it's going to have white. You can kind of see on this one, it's kind of tan in color. So that would be a tan in color head, okay? And then obviously this one is almost a darker IPA, so it's kind of orangey, not quite brown, kind of orangish red, amber color almost, dark amber color. So we're going to be shooting for very clear and yellow in color. Okay, flavor. Initial malt flavor quickly overcome with hop flavor and bitterness, so we need to keep that in mind, leading into a dry, crisp finish. Malt and hop flavors similar to aroma. Medium to high bitterness, lingering into the aftertaste along with a touch of malt and hops. Clean fermentation profile. Mineral water can accentuate and lengthen the dry finish. Hops and malt can fade with age, but the beer should always have a bitter balance. Okay, mouthfeel, medium light body, medium to high carbonation, should not feel heavy, not harsh, but may have a flinty mineral sharpness in some examples. So going again back to the water content, right? Everywhere, every city, every country has its own water buildup. And what you can do is usually each principality or city will have a water profile PDF or something that you can pull up and you can actually see the breakdown of everything that's in your water. Sometimes you don't want to do that because then you start looking in that water table and you're like, there's what in my water? Gross. Or that seems sketchy, but according to like health people, some of that stuff on a small amount will not harm you. So just a heads up when you look into that stuff. Okay, so anyways, comments. Modern examples of pills tend to become paler in color, drier and sharper in finish, and more bitter, moving from south to north in Germany, often mirroring increased sulfates in the water. Pills found in Bavaria tend to be a bit softer in bitterness with more malt flavor and late hop character, yet still with sufficient hops and crispness to finish the differentiate itself from Munich Helles. The use of the term Pils is more common in Germany than Pilsner to differentiate it from the Czech style, and some say to show respect. Okay, history, kind of like what we talked about, right? So adapted from the Czech Pilsner to suit brewing conditions in Germany, particularly water with higher mineral content and domestic hop varieties, first brewed in Germany in the 1870s, became more popular after World War II, as German brewing schools emphasized modern techniques. Along with its cousin Czech Pilsner, it is the ancestor of a most widely produced beer style today. Characteristic ingredients: continental Pilsner malt, traditional German hops, and clean German lager yeast. So we're going to be looking at those things, right? So some of those we need to find, since we're looking for German pills, we should be using German grain and German hops and German yeast. So our German style yeast anyways. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So this is where I always come to when I really want to get a good foundation of each beer that I'm going to be creating. And then there's style comparisons to other types of Pilsners, and then vital statistics, which are IBUs, International Bittering Units. So it says 22 to 40, so pretty medium on the scale in terms of hop bitterness. SRM 2 to 4, so SRM is just color. The smaller the number, the lighter the color, the higher the number, the darker the color. And then we got our alcohol by volume, 4.4 to 5.2%, so pretty light on the alcohol. Really, they're just shooting for the flavor and the color and the crispness and the dryness of the beer rather than the alcohol content. A lot of times when people get into home brewing, they're like, I could brew the strongest beer ever. And people do it. The strongest beer I ever made, I think, was 8.3%. And it was great. And some guys just amped that up like a lot. So anyways, so that's what we're looking at. All right. So I'm coming back here just real quick to see if you guys have any questions. So the person who's watching right now, or if there's multiple of you kind of jumping in and out, do you guys have any questions or anything before we move on? I'll wait a couple seconds because I want to have a sip of my Bier. Ich liebe Bier. Wow, you know, even after 6 months, beer is good. Sometimes if you create a beer that's really gross, it's good to let it sit. Sometimes that gross flavor will kind of mature and turn into something better. And sometimes it won't. I have a few beers that are like 3 years old, and I've been letting them sit and sit and sit and sit. The smell gets better, but the taste is... I should just dump them out, really, and then give myself some more bottles, but I don't. Okay, well, no questions. That's okay. All right, let's do this thing. So let's start looking at our recipes. All right, screen share again. The infinite screen share. All right, here we go. So again, we're calling it Goner's Pills for now, just because he refers to himself as Goner. But some Goner, if you, I believe he's an artist and he streams some of his drawings and he drinks beer while he draws. So great guy. If you go to his channel, make sure to follow him, and he might be streaming sometime soon. So make sure to watch some of his streams. All right, so here we go. So what I do with all of my beers is I like to create an objective. So the objective is, it's kind of like what you would do for a resume. Like, I want to be hired by this company doing this title, job, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's your objective. This kind of helps me to create the vision that I want for the beer and to maintain that. And so sometimes as I'm going through the recipe, I'll go back to the objective and be like, okay, I'm trying to create this particular beer. Is the grain bill, the hops, and the yeast, is that all fulfilling that objective or no? So going back to the objective, so we want a Pilsner that, what was it? We want a Pilsner that is crisp, clean, dry, yellow to golden color. If I can type, golly, golden color, with medium hop bitterness, that is floral, spicy, and herbal. And I believe that was, what was that? That was the aroma? No. Yep, flowery, spicy, herbal hops. So that's what we're wanting to shoot for, right? And then, so Pilsner, there's crisp, clean, dry, yellow to gold in color. Okay, with medium hop bitterness, there's floral, spicy, and herbal. With good head retention and and maltiness. With, I should say, a hint of maltiness and a biscuit. Golly, sorry guys, biscuit flavor with some maltiness. Okay, cool. So that's giving our, that's basically taking that snapshot of that profile beer, and we're putting it here to help us figure out what we're going to be doing with all this stuff. All right, so next we're going to go to the grain bill. So I always like to go here. There's lots of websites that you can go to find beer grains, because obviously this is not an exhaustive page for grains, but it does give us a selection, right? So you have American grains, Belgian grains, British grains, German grains, other malts and additions and sugars. So let's go to German grains because that's what we're going to be focusing on the most, right? Because we're creating a German Pils. So, okay, cool. So what we're going to do first is we need to create a base for our beer. Now we're looking for base malt, which is going to be mostly, it's going to provide a majority of the base flavor, so our biscuitiness. It's going to provide a majority, or base for the color, and it's going to be providing just the base sugars that are going to eventually become the alcohol that the yeast will produce. So that's what we're looking for. Again, this is not an exhaustive list of malts. Gosh, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time today trying to say some stuff. All right, so I'm looking over on the right side. This is our description, and I'm looking for anything that says good for like a base. Kind of talks about providing body, light colored for the beer. And you know what? I might, if I can't find anything on this list that says anything about a base, I'm probably gonna go to. Might go to a. Let's see what the Belgian grains look like. You get to just see the whole process because I do a lot of thinking because I'm trying to imagine in my head just the flavor and like the experience that I want, you know, because with this, okay, here we go. So Belgian pale ale malt. That's a pale ale malt. Use as a base malt for any Belgian style beer. Maybe not that. Let's look at the British. Because there's a couple of good ones in the British, like Maris Otter. I really like Maris Otter a lot. It's good for. They're all good for pale ales, really. I know I said I was going to shoot for mostly German grains, but I might retract that statement and try and find something that would be a good base malt. Well, let's just do this. I'm going to go to Maris Otter on the British grains just because I've used that recipe before, and you know, it's a nice light ale. Oh, wait, you know what? What am I thinking? I'm a dingus. We can go find, there's usually a Pilsen malt. Let's see if they've got it. Sorry if I'm making you sick going back and forth. Other malts and adjuncts, let's see if they've got one in here. Flaked oats, oak chips, gosh. I know we've got Pilsen malt, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to put in Pilsen malt. And I think they've got German Pils. Let's do this. All right. German Pils. German malts. This is what we want to look at. Belgian Pilsner malt. There's Weyermann Pilsner. Let's see if I can find an actual website that talks. Yeah, German Pilsner malt. Did I say that? German malts. Okay, Pilsner malt. So German Pilsner malt is an option for us. So probably Weyermann. Weyermann Pilsner. This is under specialty malts. Okay. I hate pop-ups. Decline offer. Okay, so German Pilsner malt, Weyermann specialty malts. Okay, so we can see that what this is. Let's see. So it's a classic German Pilsner malt that is a great base for all German lagers as well as Belgian beers. German Pilsner malt will contribute a substantial body and mouthfeel when used as a base malt. So let's do that. We're going to do that. German Pilsner malt. German Pilsner malt. Okay, so we've determined that we need to have, let's go back to this certification. So we've determined that we need to have a potential alcohol by volume of 4.4 to 5.2%. So there's a lot of math that you can do to kind of figure out what you're going to do. I'm going to just pull you guys up real fast so I can check things out, make sure there's no questions. One thing I really like to use on my app or on my phone is this app called Beersmith. It says Beersmith 3 right there. Oh, right there. Okay, Beersmith 3. Anyways, you know what? I don't care. So I'm going to pull up a Pilsner real quickly that I did a while ago. This was my original one, so this is totally different. But on this app, you can create your own recipes. You can add fermentables, hops, yeast, additions, water, that kind of thing. And then it creates a list of all the ingredients, hops. And then what it does is at the top, it's got a calculator and a pint glass. And that pint glass will kind of show you what kind of color you're looking at for the beer that you're going to be brewing. And then we have meters that show gravity, bitterness, and color. So this one that I did, it was a color, it was 3.5 SRM. Remember, it says 2 to 4 for the German Pils, so that's perfect. In this one, I did 10 pounds of Pilsner 2-row German malt, so that's probably what we're going to end up doing as well. And we had an alcohol by volume of 5.3. So it's a little much for a Pilsner. So maybe instead of doing 10 pounds of German Pilsner malt, I might do 9 pounds, because I also want to add a little bit of maltiness to this beer. So I'm going to add a few specialty grains to kind of pull out that malt. But I don't want to use too much, because using too much of the specialty grains can make it too sweet, which is off profile, off characteristic of that beer. And if I use too much, it could potentially change the color to where it's no longer gold and yellow in color. Remember, we're trying to keep it as clean as possible. So there's that. And then this one was a bitterness of 12.7. So it wasn't bitter enough for a Pilsner. So anyways, so there's that. And I used Saaz hops, which is I think it's considered a noble hop, and the bitterness provided by that 1 ounce was not enough. So this time I'm going to amp up the hops a little bit. I'm going to keep the color consistent, and I'm going to try and add a little bit more complexity to this beer style. So with that being said, so yeah, Beersmith 3 is a great app. It's free on your phone. At least it was free. I don't know if it is anymore. I tried getting it on my computer, and it won't let me do it for free on my computer. So anyways, there's that. So I don't know who's watching, but if you are watching, feel free to chat, ask questions, because otherwise I'm just blah, 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 blah. Just speaking to you, and I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk with you. So anyways, there's that. Okay. Let's go back, shall we? Let's continue. All right. So we're going back to Gonner's recipe. So German Pilsner malt. Okay, like I said, let's shoot for 9 pounds. Also, you might be wondering, if you are already a home brewer, you understand what I'm going through. So grain bill. So when you first get started, most people get started using a kit, a beer kit, and you'll get a fermenter, you'll get a bottling pail, you'll get all your hops, all the grains that you might need, and then you're going to get something called LME, or liquid malt extract. So basically what a company has done is they've created a mash, which is what we're going to be doing. They got all the sugary goodness and color goodness out, and then they distilled it down into a very intense sugary syrup. There's no added sugars or anything. It's just all that stuff has been distilled down to a syrup, and then you just pour it in water. It adds the color, it adds the flavor, and then you add a little bit of grains to give a little more complexity and freshness, and then you add the hops. So that's what you can expect if you're actually creating your own beer. So just so you know, that's what you can expect. And then as you progress, if brewing beer is something that you really do enjoy doing, and you want to improve your equipment and improve the beer and your control on the flavor, then you're going to want to start moving into an all grain. Means you get rid of that liquid malt extract, which does reduce how much control you have in terms of flavor and color and all that other stuff. And all grain really brings the control into your own hands. You can control the color, you can control the flavor, you can control the alcohol content or the alcohol potential just by increasing the grains. So that's what we're doing today. When I say grain bill, I'm talking about all the grains that we're going to be using for this particular beer. And yeah, I know it seems like a lot. 9 pounds of German malt, and then we're going to add maybe another pound, pound and a half of other malts to create complexity to the beer, so that we have that desired profile that we're looking for. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I was gonna check something real fast. Okay. Just wanting to see here. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. We got one viewer, which is awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So the other thing we're going to look for is we want something that's malty, right? So go back to the grains. We want something that is malty. Let's go back to the German grains. We want a slight hoppiness, right? Not hoppiness, maltiness, but we want something that's clean. So we have one here, acidulated sour malt, high lactic acid, lambic, sour mash beers. And it says sour stout, Pilsner's wheats. I don't really want to deal with that. Let's see. So you can see in the middle, or the second to the left, it says L. That stands for lava bond, and that's the color. SRM is color level as well, lava bond, and then we have gravity. And gravity is basically the amount of sugar content that we're going to get from that particular grain, or the sugar potential, and then that gravity, which we will, we will figure out at the end of our brew day. It's going to help us to determine the potential alcohol. Okay, so that's what the whole point of gravity is, and this is just the gravity for each grain. And there's math. I suck at math, so I just use Beersmith, and then Beersmith helps me to do everything that I need to. It does the math for me, so I don't have to worry about that. All right, so here we have something. It's called Carafoam or crystal malt. Okay, it says improves head retention and body. That might be something that we want, right? Because remember, it said white head retention, long-lasting white head retention. So we want white head, we want that head retention, and it also adds body. So let's consider Carafoam as a potential. But as I'm looking down here, I'm also trying to find something that's malty. So we have light Munich malt. It's 5 to 6 lava bond. So that could help us if we put a small amount in. That might be able to help us keep that color right in that range that we want. Remember, gold, or yellow to gold, clear. So there's that. Dry character, look at that. Rye malt can be used as a base malt for seasonal beers, Roggenbier, and ales. Well, part of the character of this Pilsner is dryness. So it's got dry character. And then we have Vienna malt, European lager, malt kiln slightly more than Pilsner malt, full-bodied, gold in color. Okay, European lager malt. Okay, well, that might be something we want. And then we also have wheat malt light. Typical top fermented aroma, produces superb wheat beers. So the problem with wheat, and this is something to consider, maybe we don't want to use wheat, is sometimes wheat can add a cloudiness to the beer if you're not careful on the clarity, or I guess if you use too much wheat and you're not using enough clarifying ingredients, it could remain cloudy. So my IPA I made last time, it was a little cloudier than I expected, but that's okay. Another one we can do here is, remember the biscuity flavor that kind of comes with that Pilsner? We could do Kolsch malt. Kolsch malt might be a good option for us. It says a light, sweet, biscuity flavor. That could be good for us. Ooh, there's so many options for us. And then we got the rye malt. So, and then what was that one? The Carafoam, crystal malt right here. 1.3, improves head retention and body. So let's do that. So let's add that Carafoam crystal malt. Carafoam crystal malt. And what was that? 1.3 to something or other. Blah, 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 blah. 1.3 to 2.3. Okay. 2.3 L. Okay, and I'm going to say let's add about 1 pound, because it adds body. It doesn't add much to the color. And it improves head retention and body. And I want to improve my body. I want to improve my head retention. Okay, let's see. Okay, and then we're gonna go back down here. Dry character. Okay, so we need some maltiness too, right? Nothing that we've put in so far is gonna really give maltiness, which is that's the only problem we have so far with our trying to keep to our style. So we need to find something that provides a little bit of malt. So we have the light Munich malt right here for a desired malty, nutty flavor. Okay, so nutty is not necessarily anything we're looking for. So we got a rye malt and then a Vienna malt. It's full-bodied, golden color. Another thing too is it's really important that we try and keep our recipes simple. You can go as complex as you want. Some stouts are really complex, but you know, if you're just starting out, keep it simple. Keep it to like 3 ingredients. So I've already got 2, so I need to really figure out what I want to do. I might take it to 4 ingredients just because there are certain characteristics I'm looking at for this beer that are incredibly important. Like I need that maltiness, but I need this dryness, right? All right, let's do that. I'm gonna add a little bit of rye malt, and I need to make sure this is German rye malt. German, because there are different variations of these same malts. But if we're gonna make a German Pils, I should change this to German Pils. Well, if we want to keep it to the exact name. Okay, rye malt. So I'm gonna do 0.5 pounds of that. Nothing super crazy. I think that should be good. And for those of you guys who are maybe not in the United States and everywhere else that uses not pounds, I'll see if I can find if you're interested in doing this recipe, you might want to watch me do it first. That way, if I make any mistakes in terms of flavor or any of that stuff, then you can learn from my mistakes and you can make a better beer. But what I'll do is I'll see if I can find a conversion or something for you guys, and show you. And honestly, I might even put this on my Discord channel. So if you guys are homebrewers and you like to try different recipes, let me know in Discord, and I will happily chat with you and share my recipes with you, because it's fun to share recipes. And then if you guys are homebrewers and you try it yourself and you're like, well, I tried different grains and it tasted a little bit better, why don't you try this? Then we can, you know, bounce ideas back off of each other. Okay, so that's my 3rd ingredient. I know. Oh crap! Oh no! Hold on. Oh. I got it. I spilled beer all over the place. Hold on. I'm bringing you with me. You get to see the... I thought it was going to fall off. This computer has seen it all. I'll tell you what. I don't know how much longer this laptop's going to be able to last with all the... Shoot. Man, this computer's probably screwed. It's still working, which is good. Probably cooled things down a little bit, but now everything is sticky. So if the stream ends, you'll know why. So I'm just going to stick you here for a second while I clean up my mess. One thing I'd say is move slow. Move slow. That's one thing I'm still learning about. Gosh darn it. And I wasted some beer and probably ruined my computer. All right. Well, let's see how well this goes, shall we? I don't know how well it's going to go. Hopefully it doesn't fry or burn or whatever. It might do all of those things. So I'm going to just check this out real quickly. It seems to be working okay. All right, your guys are there. The great thing about live stream, right? I can't believe I'm doing this. Hold on. We're going to take a quick drink break. That was a lot of beer that spilled on my keyboard. For For those of you guys who are computer guys, do they put little things underneath the keyboard that keep fluid from going down into the motherboard? Or is it highly likely that my computer is going to be completely screwed? That would be a bummer because I'm going to have to get another laptop and I don't really have the money for that right now. So, anyways, okay. Sorry for that slight distraction. Let's get back to it, shall we? Oh man, that is such a good beer. That is such a good beer. Okay, I did something. I moved some things around. What did I move around? What am I looking for? Okay, anyways, sorry. Distracted. Here we go. Back to work before the computer dies. All right, so we talked about... Golly, what a dingus. All right, so we talked about the rye malt. This is for dry... Oops. Dry... what did it say? Dry character. The carafoam, head, retention, and body. And this is base malt. Okay. And the base malt, yeah, contributes substantial body and mouthfeel when used as a base malt. Ooh, Viking malt. Okay, some goner. If you're watching, I was gonna do German pills, and this looks like one of the German pills options that we can use. But just let me know if there's anything you want me to change on this, because this is a recipe you asked for. Okay, the last thing we need is a little bit of malt, right? Some level of maltiness, and this is where, because again, this is not an exhaustive list, I just always come here because I'm used to it and I'm comfortable with it. I might jump out. I'll stick in with the Belgian. Sorry, one of my neighbors is talking to himself. That's weird. Okay. Okay. Malt. Malt. Okay, we can do Cara Vienna malt. That might be good. But the coloring, it says used in light Abbey or Trappist style beer, Belgian light crystal malt. Okay, and then we got Pilsen malt right here. Light color, malty flavor. Might need to do that. Pilsen malt. Belgian Pilsen malt. Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a pound. Why am I doing a pound? One, because it's a Pilsen malt, and it provides the maltiness we need. And in fact, what I might do is light color, malty flavor. Okay, here's what we might do. Going back here, let's bring this down. Let's bring it down to 7, and we'll make this 3, because this was going to be 10 pounds anyways. 3, so that's 10, 11, 11.5. Okay, that's good. And this is light color and malt. Well, I already made that. Yeah, maltiness and light color. All right, cool. All right, so there we go. There's our grain bill. All right, so I might change things up a little bit. Usually what I do is I kind of take some time to think about different things, like, does that look good? Am I going to change that? You know, because there's so many variables, like I said. So just going to take a quick pause. All right, questions. Anybody watching? No? Okay, that's fine. I see one viewer. So if you do have any questions about what you're seeing, feel free to ask. I'm going to take a sip of beer because I almost spilled all of this. I put it in a better place. My hand movements, if you haven't noticed, massive hand. That will be a fail that's going to become a clip. just so y'all know, because that was embarrassing. Okay, no questions? No questions? Okay, moving on. All right. Okay. So we're gonna go hops. All right, just a reminder, going to the beer guide. We're looking for moderately to moderately high flowery, spicy, or herbal hops. And then in terms of, let's see, flavor, malt and hop flavor is similar to aroma, same descriptors and intensities. Okay. Medium to high hop bitterness, lingering into the aftertaste, along with a touch of malt and hops. Clean fermented profile, mineral water. Okay, we'll get to the water here in a minute. Okay, let's find some hops that are going to be flowery, spicy, or herbally. Flower, spice, or herbal. Okay, we're done with grains for now, so I'm going to close that out. All right, so this, again, is not an exhaustive source. This is just a source that I use often. There's so many websites that go into the exhaustive list of hops and grains, and it's very easy to just like get lost. So I try to keep it simple. One hop I do know that does have that spicy, herbally flower profile is Hallertau Mittelfrüh, which is a German hop, which would be perfect for our German pills. Here we go. Hallertau aroma, Hallertau Blanc, Hallertau Mittelfrüh. Okay, 3.0 to 5.5% in the bitterness. Complex but mild, approachable. A mixture of sweet, earthy, herbal with vivid impressions of newly mown hay, sweet spices, and dried flowers. That could be good. But then if we just get regular Hallertau, very mild, pleasant, and slightly flowery, some spicy, that might be what we want. But we're also looking for something that's going to create some more bitterness that we're looking for. Let's see here. Looking at all these, there's so many hops, and you just gotta kind of work your way through all of them. Play around with ones that you do know, and just use them in all sorts of different beer recipes, and then you try different ones. Here we have a Newport earthy light citrus. We don't want citrus. We're looking for flowery, herbal, and spicy. Okay, this is Pacifica. That's okay. High alpha bittering hop with the herbal, earthy, and floral aroma. That sounds like what we want. Whoops, that's not the right one. Okay, aroma. Moderate to moderately high flowery, spicy, or herbal hops. Okay. That could be a winner right there. Let's go back to this. And which one was that? Where did I see it? Come on now. Where was that? Right here. All right, we got Pato. Okay, I'm going to write that one down. Pato hops. Okay, that's an option. Ooh, look at this one. Pecco. It's similar to Saaz. It's a high alpha acid. So the higher the alpha acid, the more bitterness it's going to add to the beer. So that's one thing to consider. And the lower the alpha acid, it's going to have less bitterness. I can talk, I promise. Ooh, or Pearl right here. Moderately intense floral. They can spell as good as I can. And spicy. Maybe we want that. Pearl. That looks pretty good, actually. Moderately intense, floral, and spicy. And then Pato is high alpha bittering hop with the herbal, earthy, and floral aroma. But then again, I don't know. Maybe we use both. Maybe we use both. Maybe we use Pato as a bittering hop, and then we use Pearl as an aromatic hop, or vice versa. And the other thing too is, as I create this recipe, I have a certain idea of what I want. This comparing hops page is really important because let's say I find a hop that I really want to use, like this Pato hop or this Pearl hop. Okay, and and there's that German one, the Pearl German. It's known for its aromatic, bittering properties, herbal, and spicy. It's a German one. We could probably use that one because it's German, right? And we're trying to make a German pill, so that would make sense. Or Hallertau would be a good one as well. So just looking at those things, but you'll notice next to, before the description, it shows Chinook, Cluster, Galena, and Northern Brewer. So those are potential substitutions of hops that have similar characteristics and flavors and aromas to that particular hop. So you can just go and find those. So if you go to your brew store, you have your recipe filled out, and you go to the brew store and you realize, oh crap, they don't have anything here that I want. That sucks. Then you can go back here to this website and then be like, oh well, Chinook looks good and Cluster looks good, and you just see if they have them at their brew shop. So remember, just be willing to be flexible, have fun, be flexible, don't be wrapped around the axle in case you don't get what you want, because you don't always get what you want. I'm not gonna sing anymore. That was bad. All right, known for its aromatic, bittering properties, herbal and spicy. I'm gonna write that down. German. Okay, for bittering and herbal spicy. All right, let's see here if there's anything else. Oh, what about this? Pride of Ringwood. What? Quite pronounced, woody, earthy, herbal. That could be good for what we're looking for. But that's also a really bizarre hop name and everything. That could be that that might not be available at my brew store, so maybe I don't want to get too excited about that. Or let's go down to the Saaz. Okay, Saaz hops are normally what you would see. So you have Czech Saaz, and then you have US Saaz. But this is exactly what we want. Very mild with pleasant hoppy notes, earthy, spicy, and herbal. So maybe we do a Saaz, this Saaz hop. So I'm going to write that one down because that is for like Urquell Pilsner, like the original Czech Republic Pilsner. That is what they use. At least what I've read. So, it's the internet. They might not be real. Let's do that. Saaz hops. Let's do that, though. Pleasant hoppy notes, earthy, spicy aroma. Let's make that our... what was the other one that I was looking at? The Pearl German. Okay, so let's make the German known for aromatic and bittering properties. Let's do the German as a bittering. And let's do Saaz as a aromatic. And let's do a Saaz as, well, let's see, flavoring is, well, we want it to be flavored. So yeah, let's do a Saaz as an aromatic and flavor, because that's going to bring out what we want, the hoppy notes, the earthy, spicy, herbal. Let's do that, okay? So we're going to bring that as our aromatics. When you smell the beer, you're going to smell that earthy, spicy, herbal. When you taste it, you're going to taste that earthy, spicy, herbal. The aromatic and the flavoring hops are all within the last 15 minutes. I always mix them up. I'm pretty sure the flavoring hop goes in at 15 minutes before the end of the boil, maybe 20. And then the aromatics go in at the last 5 minutes. I have to double check that. And then obviously the bittering hop. Okay, let's do that. So we're going to go back to that. Hops. All right, so what did I say? German. So we're going to do Pearl German. And we'll just do 1 ounce. 1 OZ. That'll be for bittering at 60 minutes. Okay. And then we're going to do Saaz for aromatic. Let's do flavoring first. Flavoring at 15 minutes. Oops. What? At 15 minutes. Okay, and then maybe we'll do 1 ounce. Before I finish this, I'm going to put all of this into my beer app. 1 ounce Saaz aromatic at, we'll say, 5 minutes. Okay. And then let's go to yeast. So there's a lot of potential yeast out there. There's White Labs, there's Y yeast, and there's Imperial yeast. And honestly, I might use let's see, we can go yeast strains here and we do homebrew. And we can do Pilsner. And this will bring up our lagers. So the thing about a Pilsner is if you want it to be a Pilsner, most Pilsners are lagered. So they're a lager beer, which has a couple things to consider. One, if it's a lager beer, it's a bottom fermenting beer or fermenting yeast. 2, it needs to ferment at a colder temperature. And 3, it's going to take a lot longer for that to happen. So if I brew this next week, I should be able to enjoy it by the end of August. So that's how long it's going to take. So it's kind of a bummer, but that's okay. So we have Urquell, which is Czech lager fermentation, and then Harvest. Let's click on these and see. Come on, view. So it tells us, the nice thing is it says these are the temperatures that you ferment at, the flocculation, so that's how clean it's like the dropout. So all that yeast poo and stuff and the bubbles at the top of the beer, which I think I've shown you guys before, that's going to drop out into the beer and it's going to fall to the bottom. So there, even though it's a bottom fermenting yeast, it's still going to create that byproduct at the top of the beer, and then when it's done fermenting, it's going to sit back down. And then attenuation is just the ability of the yeast to eat up the usable sugars. So yeah, I mean, it's good, right? Clean fermentations produce amazing Bock, Helles, Pilsner, Dunkels, and just about any other lager style you throw its way. Fantastic choice for a house lager strain. Okay, so they have 2 really good options. I did use the Urquell last time, wherever that is, down here. The Urquell. And that was, it turned out pretty good. If we look at this, again, it's a colder temperature for ferment. It is pretty normal for there to be a soft sulfur aroma during fermentation, but it cleans up during lagering. So lagering, it's like long. Basically, I think lagering means, long, not long, I don't know, something in German. But then it gives you that nice Czech edge. But we're not trying to create a Czech beer, are we? So, you know what? Imperial yeast? Not this time. I don't think so. I love Imperial yeast, though. Their yeast is good. But so is Y yeast. Y yeast has some really, really good ales as well. So looking down here, we've got some lager strains. Pilsner, Urquell H strain. So that's probably from the actual Urquell Pilsner. If you have that one, then you might be pretty close to what a Czech beer would be. We have a Pilsner lager, American lager, Danish, Bohemian, California, European, Munich lager. Let's check this one out. C strain. Oh, look at that. You can actually see the picture of the yeast. How cute. All right. This is a unique strain capable of producing fine lagers. It is very smooth, well-rounded, and full-bodied. A thorough diacetyl rest is recommended after fermentation is complete. What is diacetyl rest, you may ask? I'll tell you what diacetyl rest is. So as soon as the beer is done fermenting, after that yeast poop and stuff falls down and sinks to the bottom, you can kind of consider your beer being done with fermentation. You know your beer is done with fermentation, not just because of that, but when you take your gravity reading, it's near the finishing gravity that you were anticipating in the first place. So if it's not at that level, then it's not done fermenting. So you get done with fermentation, and a diacetyl rest means you just let it sit. it's done fermenting, you let it sit for a week, 2, maybe 3, depending. With a lager yeast, you want it to be at least 2 or 3 weeks after fermentation. Fermentation can take anywhere between 1 to 2 weeks with the lager, maybe even 3 with the lager yeast, just because colder temperatures, longer fermentation. But then you let it sit for another couple weeks after it's done fermenting. And what happens is if there's any off flavors or any extra sugar in there, the yeast will go back in and kind of eat up the byproducts and eat up the off flavors and all that other stuff. So that's what diacetyl rest is. It kind of clarifies your beer a little bit better. And the cool thing about a Y yeast is they have these smack packs. So the yeast is in a little like plastic bubble in the middle, and then they got beer on the inside of it, or wort. Remember, it's not beer until it's done fermenting, but it's got wort, and you just smack the pack, pop it so that the yeast goes in, you shake it up, and then you pour in your beer. Or if you're like me, you're going to do a yeast starter, because why? It doubles the amount of yeast that you have, and it makes the fermentation that much more finished. Okay, well, efficient is better. Okay, so we have Munich Lager, and then we have Munich Lager 2. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, so this one is from a famous brewery in Munich. This strain is a low diacetyl and a low sulfur aroma producer, an excellent choice for malt-driven lagers. Ooh, that could be good. Attenuation, it's got 72 to 74%, and the temperature range, that looks pretty good. I kind of like that one. Let's see, where to buy? Let's see if they have it near me. Okay, let's see. Oh, these, what the heck? Let's do 25 miles. I don't want to do that. There's got to be one near me. Let's hit enter. Let's see what happens. Okay, Salt City Brew Supply. They do have it. Sick. That's the one I normally go to. Beer Nut is actually closer to my house. And they've got a lot of good stuff too, but I really like Salt City Brew Supply. So let's just go there real quick and see, do they have it? Beer brewing, hops and yeast, Imperial Y yeast. Blah, blah, blah. And we were looking for Munich Lager 2. Okay. Let's go to the next page. Because the other thing too is you want to go where you can find all this stuff, right? They should have it. They do have Y yeast. That's for sure. Okay, we have Munich Lager. Do they have Munich Lager 2? There's the... It's not really alphabetical order, which is silly. All right, I don't see it here. So maybe we, and here's the thing, you got to be flexible, right? So if I go back, let's find our yeast. Okay, so we have Munich Lager 2. If we go to Munich Lager, which is fine, it's not the end of the world, but Munich Lager, it's well-rounded, very smooth, full-bodied, capable of producing fine lagers. It needs a diacetyl rest. So this one they have, so maybe we just do that one. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Let's just do this. We'll keep it simple. Okay, so we're gonna go Y yeast. We're gonna do 1 package Y yeast. Whoa! And what was the strain? 2308. Munich Lager. Okay, cool. There's that. In terms of, I know, if you're OCD, you're like, why is that bold? It should be bold like everything else. That's part of the recipe. Hello, Brewdog. Here's the Brewdog. He likes to sit on my lap. One of the additions I'm going to put in here is a Werflock tablet. Werflock tablet. A Werflock tablet, in case you guys are wondering, and I'm pretty much done with the recipe, but the Werflock tablet, in case you're wondering, is, I believe it's a tablet, but it's a mix of Irish moss and some other things. I want to say gypsum too, and the whole purpose of it is to clean the beer, make it clean, crisp, and clear. That's the whole point. And we're looking for a nice clear beer. So you can see this one. You can see all the way through it. I used Werflock tablet in it. And in fact, there's still a little bit of yeast floating around on the inside, but that's okay. When the beer heats up, since there's always a little bit of yeast that goes into my bottles, it came from a bottle, there's going to be a little bit of yeast in it. Yeast is not bad for you. If you drink it, it will go in and it will add to your gut biome. And in fact, I've read a lot of articles that talk about how the yeast from a beer would be actually pretty good for your bowels. So cheers to that. All right, so we're gonna do that. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so Werflock tablet. So it kind of makes it nice and clean like this. Okay. Since we're looking for clean, crisp, clear, gold to yellow beer, that's what we're going to be doing. So, remember, I told you I was going to create this beer recipe. Come on, dog. Okay, let's do this. We're going to create a quick recipe. Let's go to my recipes. We're going to do actions, add a recipe. And it's going to be Gonner's German Pils. We're going to select German Pils. If I can spell on German Pils. 5D, sick. Okay, fermentables. Let's look at this. I'm going to share my screen again so you can come with me. Yes. Okay. All right, we're going to do German Pils. German Pilsner malt. What did I say? Pilsner malt. And I think it was Wehrmann. That's the German one. Yep, that looks like right one. We're going to do 7 pounds. Save. Ooh, that's looking pretty good. And then we're going to do the Pilsen malt. Pilsen malt. And that looks like there's a one from Briess. Briess is the company. B-R-I-E-S-S. Okay, we're going to do 3 pounds. And then what else? 1 carafoam. Wehrmann. Yep. Okay, we'll do that one. Okay, 1 pound. And then the last one is rye malt. And we're looking for the Wehrmann rye malt. We're going to do 0.5. All right. Well, it might be a little more alcoholic than we anticipated. We also wanted Pearl. We'll do the non-German one. That's for bittering. That's at 60 minutes. I might have to change some stuff around here because Saaz, we'll do that one. We'll do 1 ounce at, we'll say, what did I say, 15 minutes? Save. And then we're going to have to change some stuff because this is not working out as much as I planned. And then we'll do 5 minutes. Okay, so in terms of the alcohol content, it's a little bit higher than anticipated for the alcohol that we're shooting for. Remember, it's 4.4 to 5.3. Right now, we're at about 6.1. It's not that big of a deal. Since I'm not turning this into a competition, I probably won't worry about it. In terms of bitterness units, actually we're within it because I think the bitterness unit is between 22 and 44, so the bitterness is good, and then the color is good. So I don't know if you can see this. I'm just gonna make sure I can see what you guys are seeing. So color. Let me get rid of that notification. Okay, so German Pils, we got a good color, nice light yellow, golden color. And then we've got all of our hops, our grains, our hops. And the only thing we need to add is our yeast. And what did I say? 2308. Munich Lager Y yeast. Boom. All right, sweet. So that looks good. Okay, and then the miscellaneous will be Werflock. Werflock. flock tablet. Boom. And you save it, and then it just keeps all your recipes here. So, so we got Gonner's German Pills. So, some Gonner, thanks again for all of your insight to this channel to make it the way it is, to make it better. And for all of you guys who are watching or will watch or whatever, just remember, like, I'm an amateur, but I love doing this. I think this is a lot of fun. It's given me more reason to brew beer. And my goal is to brew a beer every 2 weeks from here on out. So brew a beer, then do a recipe, then brew another beer, then do a recipe, then brew another beer. That's the hope. And I'm going to be trying new recipes. I'm going to be trying some new techniques. Eventually, I'm going to get better equipment to improve the efficiency of everything, and just make the whole process that much better. I'm excited to do this journey with you guys as I learn, and I think that this is just the beginning of something really big. And big things start, or big change, big things, whatever I'm trying to say, they all start with something small. So I've got my garage brewery, which my goal would be to turn it into a full-on brewery at some point in time, because I just think that'd be a blast. So that being said, as a reminder, please, if you like what you're seeing and you're enjoying this experimentation, or if you're enjoying learning about the simple things of making beer, please make sure to follow and subscribe and set up notifications to watch all my future streams. For those of you who want to watch this beer that we created today get brewed, we're going to be brewing on the 22nd of June. That's next week. It's a Thursday, about 10:30 Mountain Time. And yeah, I know it's a weekday and most of you guys are working, so I apologize for that. But my schedule's working out to only allow me to brew on the weekdays and stream on the weekdays. So feel free to watch these things afterwards. Not a big deal. And remember, this channel is powered by you, and it's crafted by your engagement. So please take the time to ask questions, join my Discord server, and send some chats, and we'll make sure to connect there. We'll talk about beer, we'll talk about coffee, whatever you guys want. I'm going to have a channel or a server on my a thread. There will be a thread for beer, a thread for coffee, a thread for every other conversation under the sun, because to me, it's about building community, it's about building friendships and relationships, and it's about having big conversations that bring positive change to our communities, and we're using beer and coffee as a motivator. So that's a big part of it. So again, make sure to sign up for notifications, follow me, join my Discord server. If you miss any streams, just go to my YouTube channel, and you can follow everything there. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. So for whoever's watching, I don't know who you are, but thanks for watching all the way through. I really appreciate it, and really look forward to having you next week on the 22nd as we brew. And we might have a special guest brewing with me on that day, and that special guest is my stepdad. As long as they can make it down here next week, they will be here, and he will be helping me brew my beer. He's really excited about it, and he's excited to meet you guys, so make sure to share your love and be there. So yeah, anyways, just that's all I got for y'all. So remember, everybody, be adventurous, stay thirsty, speak easy. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you guys next week.